everybody, I'm Lyndi Perry and I'm going to be talking to you today about getting started with a bass guitar. The first thing I want to point out is that I've got my guitar in the stand. This is really important. We want to show respect for the instruments and make sure that they're always taken care of. So don't just set it down, lean it against something because it's going to fall and you're going to, at the very least, have to tune it again. And at the worst, maybe you lose it, maybe it's damaged permanently. So we're just going to be really careful with it. We're going to take good care of it, either put it away in its case all the way or put it in a stand. Make sure everyone is happy. Turn on! So the first thing you need to know about your instrument is how to turn it on. And to get set up for that, it's so easy. So you just need a 1/4-inch cable that you should have, an amplifier, and of course, your bass. I like to do a little wrap, but you don't have to do that. But you're going to be wearing your instrument probably with the strap over your shoulders, so you just bring that through the strap to keep it out of your way, so you don't step on it while you're moving around. There will be a jack on your instrument, so here's what the jack looks like. Mine is on the bottom, but some of them will be on the front. Once you find the jack, you can just stick it in there. Mine has 2. Yours will probably only have 1. You can, if you do have a second input, feel free to choose whichever one and just play with it. See what works for you. That's what this whole thing is about. I've got my instrument side plugged in now. So you take the other side and you'll be plugging it right into your bass. So you can see in my bass head, I also have 2 inputs here. You are a lot more likely to have 2 inputs on your bass. Again, play with it, see what sounds better to you. One is probably going to be louder than the other one. If you like loud, be loud. Most basses will have an on and off switch. Mine also has 2 on switches. This is actually a power and a standby. So power means it's fired up. It's getting ready to go. It's heating up if it has tubes. And you don't have to worry about it. If you have 2, turn them both on. If you have 1, just turn it on. You're ready to go. Every electric instrument has pickups like these. These take the sound from the vibration of the string and they turn it into an electric signal that goes through the cord and over to your amplifier. It's pretty cool. But the thing is, you might have an instrument with a switch where you can choose which pickup you use, or you can choose to blend both. So don't be afraid to experiment here. I'm going to say that over and over and over. Don't be afraid to experiment here. You have all of these toggles, all of these switches. There's nothing you can do to hurt the bass by just switching the switches and turning the knobs. So do it, try it, see what it sounds like. So I'm going to tell you about a really common problem when kids in my class raise their hand and they say, teacher, I have no sound. Here's the thing that can happen. You can be on a pickup like this, and your volume knob right here can be turned all the way down, and everything looks like it should be working, but nothing's working. So just remember to try that knob first. Before you assume it's broken, make sure the volume knob on your instrument is turned up. Then you can do things like playing with the tone knob. So here's what it sounds like now. And you can just make it sound kind of wonky. It's a lot of fun to play with. Just think about it like a game. You're going to have fun. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the amplifier, okay? Basses usually have several equalization or EQ options on them. Of course, as the bass, you're the very lowest pitches. So you definitely want to emphasize the bass ranges. So if you have low frequencies on one side and high frequencies on the other, emphasize the low frequencies. But don't make this mistake. Don't just cut the high range, because the high range is what gives it the definition. It's what gives it a growl. It gives it string sound. If you can hear this, it's because it's in the high ranges of the sound. You don't want to lose that, because that gives your bass a lot of characteristic and style. So just make sure, play with it. See what you like. There's the bass notes emphasized. You can hear how it kind of buried the high end, but it sounds wicked cool. So maybe if you're like metalhead, that would be pretty good. Or if you wanted to do like synth sounding stuff, that gets rid of a lot of the attack. It sounds cool. Mid-range makes it kind of warm sounding instead of hollow. And then treble, that scream sound. You can really scratch with that treble frequencies. And if you don't like that scratch, if you don't like the scream sound or the attack, roll that treble off. I like a little. You probably have 2 volume knobs on your amplifier. If you don't, cool, that makes it so easy. You can disregard what I'm about to say next. The gain and the master both help change your volume. Gain, it comes before the signal goes through the amplifier, and master is what emphasizes what comes out. So if you really like your raw input signal, you do the gain. If you want it to sound kind of overdriven and heavy, you do the gain. And if you want it to sound mellow and well-balanced, you use that master volume. And you could just, like I said, like I keep saying, turn one down, turn the other up, do whatever combination you like. You can totally experiment with this. The last thing I'm going to talk about before we actually start playing is what a bass is made up of. So I've already talked about the pickups and the input jack and the knobs, tone knobs and volume knobs, and the toggle switch if you have multiple pickups. So when you're playing the instrument, some other common terms that you'll need to know is that this is referred to as the head. These are the tuners or tuning machines. This is the neck of the instrument. And along the neck, each of these separated little boxes is called a fret. And the fret, as you move up the fret, it changes the note. So frets are really important, and we'll talk a lot about how to identify which note you're on based on which fret you're on a little bit later on. And then the body, of course, is this bottom part. So that's the anatomy of a bass. Tune! This is a clip-on tuner, and everything I have to say about a clip-on tuner will carry over pretty well when you're talking about a foot switch tuner. So you can just kind of keep this whole thing in mind. It just depends on how you want to do it. You can see that there's a little power switch right here that turns it right on, right? So you can see that a little bar appears, and when you strike a string, it lights up and shows you what note you're hitting. So I'm on the E string right now, and you can see that looks pretty good. It goes over a little. There we go. So once you have that where it's lined up perfectly straight up and down, that means you're ready to move on to the next string. The next string down is the A string. And that seems a little off. It's a little low. So I'm just going to use my machine tuners here, my tuning machine, and lift it very slowly because I don't want to go past either. See, you can see that now my tuner says it's a little too high, so I'm going to bring it back down a tiny bit. Just nudge this back and forth. Some work better than others. That's okay. You can get it. Just keep at it until you figure it out. Nuance. It takes nuance. The next string down is the D string. That looks pretty good. And then the very last string we'll be tuning today on the bass is the G string. All right, we're set, we're tuned. As a reminder for what the string names are, I showed you as we were tuning, but now I'll just say it. Eddie, dynamite, good! E is the lowest one, the lowest note. It's the top string and the lowest pitch, it's E. The next one that's higher but also further down on your bass is the A. Then we have the D, and then we have the G. And a good way of remembering this is to say the mnemonic, Eddie ate dynamite, good. Now we're gonna try stuff, and I think you can probably figure out how to try stuff on your own. Just give yourself permission to have fun and experiment, and you'll just have a blast with it, okay? I promise, don't be too self-conscious. If you have family members that are making you feel bad, just turn up. You can just shove it in their face. Just have fun and you'll sound great. You'll figure out what works for you and what you like. So let me give you a few pointers just starting out, okay? So you know 4 notes already. E, A, D, G. Eddie, A, dynamite, good! So why don't you try going up the strings one at a time and see how that sounds. It's not beautiful, but once you start going up, you can skip some. You can see how that sounds. The way that you strike a note on the bass, you're totally welcome to use a pick, and you'll hold your pick in your OK fingers like this and strum down from top down, or you can strum from down up to get a slightly different sound, or to go really fast, you can do down and up. Down and up and up and up and up and up. A lot of bassists don't use picks. A lot of bassists instead use these two fingers. They're peace fingers like this, and they go like this. Also a way to go really fast. But no matter what kind of picking style you use, you are the bass. And let me tell you something about the bass. The bass is the instrument that makes everyone dance. And the way that you make everyone dance is by using the notes, the pitches that you can hear, and marrying it to the rhythm. So you're kind of like the compromise between the guitarist and the drums. You glue everyone together and you make people in the audience move. And the easiest way to make people in the audience move is to be having fun yourself. So if you want to work maybe on looking in the mirror, you can see what you look like while you're doing it. And let me just tell you, it's embarrassing at first, but it's really important to have a wicked killer bass face. And you just gotta like imagine like the worst smell you've ever smelled, but you love it, and you're just like So practice that too, because that's really important. Okay, when you're trying stuff, let me just say that it may help you to think about scales. And a scale is all of the notes in a row that sound really good with a root. So for example, your guitarist is probably going to play a chord. And let's say your guitarist is playing an E major chord. That's fine, but you're the bass. You're probably not going to play chords on the bass. And the reason is it sounds like this. It's kind of cool, but it would get really boring if you played it like that all the time. It just doesn't sound right. Instead, what bassists do is they choose one note at a time, and they usually start with the root. In an E chord, if your guitarist tells you they're playing an E, that means you're looking for the root E. And we know where the E is. It's right here. We already learned that when we were tuning. That's so easy. From there, it's so easy to look up a scale on your phone and figure out what notes you like that go with it. So here's an E scale. Do you hear how easy that is? It's just one note at a time, and we can go backwards. And it's going to sound awesome with your guitarist's E chord. All of those notes sound beautiful. So when you're looking for an experimental thing to try, that's a good spot. If you can't just figure something out on your first try, maybe ask what their root note is and then find a scale that goes with it, because that will give you some hints about what notes are going to sound really good. Another thing that's really important to note with the bass is that it's always easy to find the fifth. I'm going to say that again. It's always easy to find the fifth when you're playing the bass guitar. So if our root note is E again, our fifth is down one string and up 2 frets. And that's always going to sound good. You can even do, you can bring some style to it. And then what if your root is an A? You know where an A is because that's the next string we tuned. A, right there. Where's the fifth of the A? In the same spot but on the D string. So you just go down, so there's your A, then go down one string, there's the D, and up 2 frets. What if they say they're playing a G? There's a problem there, right? Because our G string is right here, and there's not a string below it. So what are we going to do? Let me tell you that the notes are in several places on the guitar. You can find notes, any note on any string, okay? So there is another G hidden on this instrument. I will show you where one of them is. E, F, F sharp, G. We just found our other G. And how do we find the fifth from there? We just go down one string, up 2 frets. So here's our fifth. Root, G, fifth, root, fifth, root, fifth. And the cool thing is that the guitar is tuned the same on the top strings. So they've got 2 more strings than you, but their top 4 strings are the same. So if you see that they're playing a G chord that looks something like this, right? But they have like some strings down here that they're holding down too. You already know that their root is right here. That's a G. You can find it just from looking at your guitarist's fingers. Root, root, root. And then just try stuff. Okay, now we're gonna learn the camp song, and to play the camp song, it's really easy. You just need to know where E is. E, the open E on, remember, Eddie ate dynamite, good. So now we just do that open E. That's all you need to know for the first whole verse. All of the verses are just E. Pop it, E, pop it, E, E. And so you'll hit it twice and then mute, and we'll count it in just a sec when I tell you the rest of the song. So the next note you'll need to know is A. So Eddie ate, right here, A. Easy peasy, A. And then the next thing you'll need to know is B. And so B is on that same A string, but up on the 2nd fret, okay? So E, A, and B. Easy, easy peasy, you got this. You can play bass. I know you can. Again, I'm going to say this over and over. The bass is the bridge between the rhythm section and the actual musicality of the band. And so it's your job to like be that uniter and find the rhythm. And the more fun you have, the more fun the audience has. The bass is really the driver of the beat and makes everybody in the audience dance. It's scientifically proven to be the bass in your face that makes you want to move your hips. So keep that in mind, and the more energy you bring to your performance, the more the audience will respond. So keep that in mind, and keep in mind that as the bassist, you will always be counting, even if it's in your head. But until you're really good at counting in your head, I think that it's fine to move your lips and just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's a lot of rests in this song, and a rest is where you don't play. And in music, where you don't play is every bit as important as where you do play. So when we play the camp song, we're gonna be like 1 and 2, 3, 4, 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 okay? So there's the 1 and, you get the and in there to help you remember that you gotta leave a little space in the rest of it. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. And that's the whole first verse. So it's like, we'll play with the music in just a second so that I can remember all the lyrics. In the meantime, when you get to the chorus, it's like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's B. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and back to 1 and 2, 3, 4. And now we're back to the verse. 1 and 2. And the bridge will be this way too. 3, 4. Okay, so now you know the notes. You know the rhythm. So now I'm gonna push play on the recording and I'll play along to it and I'll sing the lyrics the best that I can while I'm also trying to call out the notes. And if you try to play with me, that's great. And if this is, you know, a little complicated to hear my interpretation of this, you can play directly with the camp song at any point or with your band to get good at this song. It's cool. Whatever works for you. There's lots of learning styles out there. Two, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Intro, 2, 3, 4. Last intro, 2, 3, 4. We're here to rock, and roll, noise, taking control. Ready? A. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We build each other up. Get ready. It's gonna go to the B. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and E. 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Strong and proud, saying yup to the status quo. Here we are putting on a show. Get ready, it's A. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 have it. I hope you have a really cool band name, because we're gonna shout it out right here. 1 and 2, 3, 4, band 5, 3, 4, 1 and 2. Get ready, we go A and A, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and stay on A, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then it's B and 2 and 3 and 4 and stay on B and then it's back to E, 4, E, 3, 4. You're amazing, it's true. Hey you, yeah you, stay on that E. Amazing, get ready though, it's true, you're on A. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and tear each other down. And 2 and 3 and 4, we build each other up. 2 and get ready, it's B, and tear each other down. And then it's E, 2, 3, 4, get ready, because this is the funnest part. E. And then you go crazy at the very end, ready? And then you end on E. You'll make eye contact with the band and then you'll just like, boom, pop it right at the end there. So that's the camp song, and it's simple enough. You might be called on to play it together as your band to keep practicing it and keep it fresh. And I know you can do it. Just remember, 1, 2, 3, 4. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. If you stay on the beat, you've got this, right? Okay? Tabs! About today is using tabs when you are trying to learn a song or play a song for the first time. If you're playing someone else's song, you already know what it sounds like. You can play along with the recording and see if you can find the notes, or you can do what I do, the easy way. You go on the internet and you look up the tabs. Tabs are a super easy way. You don't have to know sheet music, you don't have to read notes yet. You just have to look at a diagram that goes like this. You know these notes. We've talked about these notes. E, A, D, G, 88 Dynamite. Good. We've already talked about that. So you can find all of those notes on your fretboard, right? What this says is that on the E string, we're gonna play it open. Open means we're not even gonna put our finger down on it. We're just gonna strike the E and let it ring out. Then we're gonna move to the A string on fret 3, which is right here. Then we're gonna move back down to the E string on fret 3. Then we're gonna move down 1 to the 2nd fret. And it's gonna sound cool. Let me turn on and you can hear what I'm talking about. Does it sound familiar yet? What if I play it like this? It's Zombie by Cranberries. So here's what I'm doing to get it to sound like Zombie. I'm listening to what I know the song sounds like. So if you haven't heard the song, please listen to it. Zombie by the Cranberries. Then you find the notes using the tab. It's open E. Then on the A string, it's the 3rd fret, which is a C. It drops down to the 3rd fret on the E string, which we already know is a G. And then down 1 to an F sharp before it goes back to E, and then it loops over and over the whole song. It is super, super simple. The next thing you have to do though is marry it to the rhythm, because a bass isn't just notes, a bass is also the rhythm. You're gonna hold it together with the rhythm. So it's gonna count like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and go to G and 2 and 3 and 4 F sharp and 2 and 3 and 4 and E and 2, 3 and 4 and C and 2 and 3 and 4 and G and 2 and get ready for F sharp and 2 and 3 and 4 and E. It just goes on and on. 2 and 3 brain up here to know what note you're on, while also using your fingers down here to know what rhythm, what note, what impulse you're on. It's sometimes easy to practice it separately if you have a hard time getting it together at first. So what you might want to do is find all the notes first. Then what you might want to do is practice on one note, just using your two fingers or your pick if you're going up and down, and just practice that over and over and over and over. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... I know it's repetitive, but that's all music is repetition with slight variations. So you're going to want to just keep doing it, even if it drives your family crazy. Just drive them crazy. Be loud, have fun, and get good at your instrument by practicing and playing with it. Practicing doesn't have to suck. If you're getting bored of playing zombie to get all the things together and to figure out your notes, play something totally wild. Play up here, play up here, play up here. Just try to stay on a beat. Try to figure out notes that sound good. You can have as much fun as you want with it. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about is how songs come together. So sometimes you have zombie like we just did, where it's one measure that's just repeated over and over and over. The changes are minimal and the song is still amazing. That's the rhythm part, right? That just doing the same thing over, staying on the beat, not getting too far off, holding the root notes only. There's not even any fifths in this. It's just straight root notes, and that's cool, but do you know what's fun? It's when you get a riff, and you usually see riffs on guitars, but every once in a while you get a really good bass riff, and so I'm going to teach you a riff real fast. This is actually a guitar riff. I'm sorry that I'm phoning it in, but everyone likes this riff. It's Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. So you're going to start on the 7th fret, you're going to move up to the 10th fret, you're going to go back to the 7th, then 5th, 3, and end on 2. Ready? Now we're going to find the rhythm of it, because I just played the notes and it doesn't sound like it, right? You got to have the rhythm too. You got to have the two parts together. 7, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2, 7, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2, 7, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2. And riffs are fun because they give you all sorts of opportunities to play with a few little tricks. So I'm going to teach you these tricks and then I'm going to say goodbye. My time is at an end. So the first is a hammer-on. We can hammer off and on. So hammer-on is where you take your first finger, take your second finger and go boom. You change the note without striking the string with this hand again. Or you can do a hammer-off, and you just pull that off, right? You can bend. I love bends. We're going to be on the 3 for a long time. So since we're going to rest on the 3 just for a brief second, it's a really good one to bend. And a bend is just what it sounds like. You strike that string and then you move this finger as much as you can and you just change the way it sounds. You change the note, not a whole fret. You don't go like clear up to a new note. You just bend it so that it's just barely not the right note and then it goes back to the right note and everyone's ear is like, wow, that's so cool. Next one we're going to talk about is a slide. That's where you strike it on one fret and then with a hammer on you would just pop up your finger, right? But not with a slide. With a slide you are going to go up and change the note, but you're going to just drag your finger across the string. You're going to stay pushed down so that it still sounds out the whole time. It hits all of the notes in between on the way to where it's going and everyone's just like, whoa, it's like a real head turner. So play with that, okay? All right, we've got hammer-ons, slides, bends. All of those things are things that make you stylistic and that make this instrument absolutely fun. So I hope that you'll play with those and experiment, and thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you get what you're looking for with this sleigh at home thing. It's just, I know that you're gonna be great because you rock. I hope you're having fun because that's how you get good at rocking.